The recruitment of Ilara Vance did not happen in a dark alley or a secret bunker. It happened in the sun-drenched courtyard of a cafe in Kensington, London. Ilara was not a soldier. She was not a hacker. She was an academic, a restoration expert specializing in Persian antiquities, fluent in Farsi, French, and English, with a heritage that traced back to the Jewish neighborhoods of Tehran before the revolution. She possessed a quiet intellect, the kind that observes the brush strokes of a painting to determine if it is a forgery. Mossad understood that the ability to spot a fake is the exact skill set required to become one. The man who approached her was known simply as Eitan. He didn't offer her money or fame. He offered her a purpose. He laid out a series of photographs on the small cafe table. They were not pictures of soldiers or tanks, but of shipping containers, bank transfer documents, and satellite imagery of a warehouse district in Bandar Abbas. General Reza Farhadi, Eitan said, tapping a photo of a man with silver hair and a neatly trimmed beard, wearing a civilian suit that cost more than Ilara's annual salary. He is not just a military commander in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. He is the logistics king. Nothing moves in or out of the proxy networks without his signature. Weapons, technology, currency. He fancies himself a man of culture, a collector of history. We need someone who speaks his language, not just Farsi, but the language of art, sophistication, and ego. Ilara looked at the photo. Farhadi looked like a grandfather, a benevolent statesman. But the intelligence file underneath his picture told a different story. It detailed the funding of instability across 3 nations, the procurement of components for ballistic guidance systems, and the silent neutralization of political dissidents. "I'm a curator," Ilara said, her voice steady. "I fix broken pottery." "Exactly," Eitan replied. "And we need you to fix a legend. We are going to build you a life. You will be Layla Tirani, an expatriate returning to her roots, seeking to bring Persian art back to the motherland. You will be charming, non-political, and highly efficient. You won't be scaling walls or shooting guards. You will be organizing his schedule, managing his collection, and listening. You will be the invisible woman in the room." The training took 18 months. It was a grueling process of psychological deconstruction. Ilara had to forget her life in London. She had to learn the rhythm of Tehran, the specific dialect of the northern suburbs, the social codes of the Tarof, the intricate Persian etiquette of politeness and deference. She learned how to use a communications device disguised as a compact mirror, how to spot surveillance without looking over her shoulder, and crucially, how to withstand interrogation. By the time she landed at Imam Khomeini International Airport, Ilara Vance no longer existed. Layla Tirani stepped off the plane, adjusting her headscarf with practiced ease, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. She was walking into the lion's den, armed only with a fake degree in art history and a backstory so watertight it could float. Tehran was a city of dualities. On the surface, it was a sprawling metropolis of concrete, smog, and strict religious edicts. Giant murals of revolutionary leaders stared down from the sides of buildings, and the morality police patrolled the intersections. But behind the high walls of the villas in North Tehran, a different world existed. It was a world of Italian marble, French wine, and private parties where the headscarves came off and business was conducted in hushed tones. Layla established herself quickly. With funding provided through a shell company in Dubai, she opened a small exclusive boutique gallery in the Elahi district. It was designed to be a trap for a specific kind of animal, the wealthy, powerful elite who needed to launder their reputation through high culture. For 6 months, she played the part. She hosted exhibitions of calligraphy and modern sculpture. She mingled with the wives of diplomats and the daughters of industrialists. She built a reputation as a discreet, highly competent consultant who could acquire rare pieces from Europe without asking questions about customs or sanctions. The bait was laid. It was only a matter of time before the target took a bite. It happened on a Tuesday evening in November. The gallery was hosting a private viewing of Qajar-era lacquerwork. The air smelled of expensive cologne and saffron tea. Layla was speaking to a French diplomat when the atmosphere in the room shifted. It wasn't a sound, but a vacuum. The air was sucked out of the room as conversation halted. General Reza Farhadi walked in. He was flanked by 2 men who were clearly security, though they wore suits ill-fitted for their muscular frames. Farhadi moved with the casual arrogance of a man who owns the ground he walks on. He didn't look at the art. He looked at the people, gauging who was important and who was furniture. Layla waited. She did not rush to him. Rule number 1 of the honey trap: never appear eager. She continued her conversation with the diplomat, laughing softly at a joke, turning her back slightly to the general. Minutes later, a shadow fell over her. She turned. "Madame Tehrani," the general said. His voice was gravel and velvet. "I hear you are the woman who found the missing Safavid manuscript for the Minister of Finance." Layla offered a polite, restrained smile. "I simply facilitated a reunion, General. Art belongs where it is cherished." Farhadi studied her. He was looking for fear, for sycophancy. He found neither. He found a professional equal. "I have a collection," he said. "It is disorganized. My previous curator lacked vision. He was too concerned with the price of things and not their value." "A common mistake," Layla noted. "Price is what you pay. Value is what you leave behind." The general raised an eyebrow. He was intrigued. "I need someone to catalog my private library. It is in my home. Very few people are permitted there." This was the test. Going to a target's home was the first major threshold. It was dangerous, but it was the only way inside. "My schedule is quite full, General," Layla lied. "But I could perhaps carve out time next week, if the collection is as significant as they say." Farhadi laughed, a dry sound. "It is better. Come on Monday. Do not be late." As he walked away, Layla took a sip of her tea. Her hand did not shake, but inside, she felt the cold grip of adrenaline. The door was opening. The general's residence was a fortress disguised as a palace. Located in the foothills of the Alborz Mountains, it was surrounded by 3-meter-high walls topped with cameras and sensors. Access required passing through 2 checkpoints. On Monday morning, Layla's taxi was stopped at the first gate. Her identification was checked against a list. Her bag was searched. The guards were thorough, scanning for recording devices or weapons. Layla had nothing. She was clean. Her equipment, the high-tech tools of her trade, had not yet been introduced. For now, she was simply the curator. She was escorted into the main house, a sprawling structure of glass and stone. The interior was a testament to the general's reach. There were rugs from Tabriz that were centuries old, vases from the Ming dynasty, and European paintings that had likely vanished from private collections during conflicts in the 90s. Farhadi met her in the library. He was wearing a smoking jacket, playing the role of the gentleman scholar. "You are on time," he said, checking his watch. "Good. I despise tardiness. It shows a lack of discipline." "Time is the one resource we cannot restore, General," Layla replied, setting her portfolio on a mahogany table. For the next 4 hours they worked. Layla assessed the collection, identifying pieces, correcting the general's attributions with gentle authority. She showed him that she knew more than he did, but she presented it in a way that made him feel smarter for having hired her. She organized his chaos. But as she worked, her eyes were recording everything else. The layout of the room, the position of the cameras, the phone on his desk, a secure line distinct from the house phone. She noticed the general rarely used a computer, preferring paper files which he kept in a heavy steel safe behind his desk. At one point, a phone rang. The secure line. Farhadi answered it. His demeanor changed instantly. The scholar vanished. The commander appeared. "No," he barked into the receiver. "I said the shipment goes through the port of Latakia. If they stop it, that is their problem. Do not call me with excuses. Call me with results." He slammed the phone down. He looked at Layla, who was examining a painting, pretending she hadn't heard a word. "Problems with logistics?" she asked innocently, not looking up. "Incompetence," Farhadi muttered. "I am surrounded by people who cannot think 3 steps ahead. They need their hands held. It is hard to find good help." Layla sympathized. "Someone who can anticipate needs before they arise." Farhadi looked at her. A thought was forming in his mind. He saw a woman who was organized, discreet, educated, and clearly unconnected to the internal factions of the Revolutionary Guard. She was an outsider, which meant she was safer than the ambitious young officers who wanted his job. "You run a business, Madame Tehrani," he said. "You understand organization?" "I do." "My personal assistant, he has been reassigned. I need someone to manage my private affairs, my schedule, my library, my correspondence. Not military matters, but the matters of a man of my stature." Layla paused. This was it, the golden ticket. "I am flattered, General, but I have my gallery." "Keep the gallery." He waved a hand dismissively. "Hire a manager. I will pay you triple what you make there. I need order, Layla, and I think you are the only person who can give it to me." She pretended to consider it, weighing the options. Finally, she nodded. "I can try it for a month, General, if we suit each other." "We will," he said. Working for General Farhadi was like living in a golden cage suspended over a volcano. The luxury was immense, but the danger was omnipresent. Layla became the gatekeeper. Her desk was situated in the antechamber to his private office. She managed his calendar, filtering the endless stream of petitioners, businessmen, military officers, clerics, and foreign envoys. She quickly learned the hierarchy of power in Tehran. She learned who could walk right in and who had to wait for hours. Her primary task was sanitization. The general wanted his public image to be that of a devout, cultural philanthropist. Layla's job was to ensure his meetings with arms dealers and sanction busters were disguised as cultural exchanges or consultations on infrastructure. She developed a system, the Red Ledger. It was a physical calendar where she kept his real schedule. The Green Ledger was the one available to his official military staff. The Red Ledger lived in the safe, accessible only to Farhadi, and now Layla. The trust did not come overnight. For the first few weeks, Layla knew she was being watched. There were cameras pointed at her desk. She suspected her phone was tapped. She adhered to her cover with fanatical discipline. She never asked about the men with foreign accents who visited late at night. She never lingered when the general closed his door for a secure call. She brought him tea, organized his files, and ensured his life ran with the precision of a Swiss watch. One evening, late, the general emerged from his office. He looked exhausted. "You are still here?" he asked. "The itinerary for your trip to Damascus needed to be finalized," Layla said. "I didn't want to leave it to the night staff." Farhadi sat on the edge of her desk. He looked older in the dim light. "You are the only one who doesn't ask me for things, Layla. Everyone else, they want money, they want influence, they want protection. You just want to organize my papers." "Order brings clarity, General." "Clarity," he mused. "Yes, that is what I lack." He paused, looking at the safe. "Do you know the combination?" "No, General. You open it when I need the Red Ledger." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of paper. He wrote down a sequence of numbers. "I am tired of getting up every time you need to file something," he said, sliding the paper to her. "Memorize it, then burn the paper." Layla's heart stopped for a fraction of a second. The safe, the Holy Grail. "Are you sure, General?" "Do not make me repeat myself." She took the paper. "I will memorize it immediately." As she watched the paper curl into ash in the brass ashtray, she knew she had crossed the threshold. She was no longer just an employee. She was the confidant. And now she had the keys to the kingdom. Access is useless without extraction. Layla now had the combination, but she needed a way to get the information out. She couldn't simply walk out with files. The checkpoints were too strict. She activated her dead drop protocol. Once a week, she visited her gallery. In the back room, inside a hollowed-out bust of a Persian poet, she would leave an encrypted micro SD card. Her handler, posing as a wealthy collector, would retrieve it. But getting the data onto the card was the challenge. The general's safe contained not just the schedule, but financial records, end-user certificates for illicit dual-use technology, and architectural blueprints for facilities that didn't exist on any public map. Layla began to work late. She created a routine of being the last one to leave, claiming she worked best in the quiet. The cleaning staff knew her. The night guards knew her. She would order them food, ask about their families. She became the kind, hard-working woman who was devoted to the general. One night, while the guards were eating the kebabs she had ordered, Layla opened the safe. Her hands moved with surgical precision. She didn't take the documents. She used a specialized scanner, disguised as a fountain pen, to swipe over the pages. The device recorded high-resolution images and stored them internally. She scanned a document titled Project Ahmad, Phase 2 Logistics. As she read the headers, her blood ran cold. It detailed the procurement of high-speed centrifuges through a front company in Germany, disguised as medical equipment. But it was the destination that was shocking. They weren't going to the known facilities at Natanz or Fordow. They were going to a location listed only by coordinates. She scanned another file. This one was a list of payments to a group in South America. Hezbollah cells activating in the tri-border region, coordinating with cartels to move nitrate and precursors. The sheer volume of death contained in that steel box was overwhelming. Farhadi wasn't just moving supplies. He was the architect of a global terror supply chain. Suddenly, the intercom buzzed. "Madam Layla, the general is returning." Panic flared. The general wasn't supposed to be back until morning. He was at a dinner with the Supreme Leader's advisors. Layla threw the files back into the safe. She spun the dial. She sat at her desk, grabbing a random stack of invoices, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The door burst open. Farhadi strode in, his face red with rage. He smelled of sweat and agitation. "General?" Layla stood up, feigning surprise. "Fools!" he shouted, throwing his briefcase onto the sofa. "Short-sighted religious fools!" He paced the room. He didn't look at the safe. He looked at her. "Pour me a drink. The strong stuff." Layla moved to the cabinet. Her hands were steady as she poured the whiskey. She handed it to him. "Is everything all right, sir?" "They want to accelerate the timeline," he hissed, downing the drink. "They don't understand the logistics. You cannot move that much special material without the West noticing. They think God will cloak the trucks from satellites." Layla listened, her internal recorder running. "Special material? The warheads," he muttered, almost to himself. "The guidance kits for the Zulfiqar missiles. They want them moved to the forward bases in Syria by the end of the month." Layla froze. Zulfiqar missiles in Syria. That put Tel Aviv within direct striking distance of precision-guided munitions. This wasn't just smuggling. This was preparation for an immediate escalation. "That sounds ambitious," Layla said softly. "It is suicide," Farhadi said. He looked at her, his eyes clearing for a moment. "Forget I said that, Layla. It is just stress." "I heard nothing, General," she assured him. "Just the complaints of a man who carries the weight of the nation." He sighed, collapsing onto the sofa. "You are good to me, Layla. You are the only peace I have." She watched him close his eyes. She had the intel. Now she had to survive long enough to deliver it. The intelligence Layla provided regarding the Zulfiqar missiles sent shockwaves through Tel Aviv. It triggered a red alert status. If those guidance kits reached the Levant, the balance of power in the region would shift irrevocably. Israel would be forced to launch preemptive strikes, likely triggering a full-scale war. Itan sent a coded message through the gallery channel. "Prioritize the route. We need the timeline and the path. High risk accepted." High risk accepted. In intelligence speak, that meant, get the information even if it burns your cover. Layla felt the walls closing in. The general was becoming more paranoid. He had doubled the guard. He had installed new cybersecurity measures on the network. He was edgy, snapping at subordinates, constantly checking his phone. She needed the specific transport manifest. She knew it existed because she had seen him reviewing it. It was a physical map with dates and checkpoints, outlining the ghost route, the path used to smuggle sensitive assets through Iraq and into Syria. The opportunity came during a meeting with a high-ranking commander from the Quds force. They were in the general's office for hours. Layla sat at her desk, straining to hear through the soundproofed door. When the commander left, Farhadi called her in. The map was still on his desk. "Clear this away," he said, gesturing to the teacups and the papers. "I have a headache. I am going to rest." He went into his private adjoining bedroom. Layla moved to the desk. The map was there. It was covered in markings, red lines for the route, blue circles for safe houses. She reached for her pen scanner, but then she noticed something. The general's door was slightly ajar. He wasn't sleeping. He was watching her reflection in the mirror on the wall. She froze. If she reached for the scanner, she was dead. In a split second, she changed tactics. She grabbed the tea tray, deliberately knocking a cup over. The tea spilled across the desk, dangerously close to the map. "Oh," she gasped. She grabbed the map, lifting it ostensibly to save it from the liquid, but in doing so, she held it up to the light, her eyes memorizing the key nodes. Al-Qaim Crossing, Warehouse 4B, date 14th. "I am so clumsy," she cried out, wiping the desk with a napkin. Farhadi stepped out of the bedroom. He looked at the spill, then at her. "I am sorry, General," she apologized, looking flustered. "I tried to save the papers." He walked over and took the map from her hand. He inspected it. It was dry. "Be more careful," he said, his voice low. He didn't sound angry. He sounded suspicious. "You are usually flawless, Layla. I am worried about you, sir. The stress is affecting us all." He studied her face for a long moment. The air was thick with tension. Finally, he nodded. "Go home, Layla. We have a long day tomorrow." She gathered her things and walked out. Her legs felt like jelly. He had seen something. She wasn't sure what, but the trust had fractured. She had the route, but she knew her time was running out. The spider sensed a vibration in the web. The morning after the incident with the map, the air in the general's villa felt different. It was heavier, charged with a static electricity that made the hair on Layla's arms stand up. She arrived at her usual time, 7:30, but the guards at the outer gate did not wave her through with their usual casual familiarity. They checked her bag twice. They ran a mirror under the taxi. They patted her down with a clinical cold efficiency that signaled a shift in protocol. Layla walked into the antechamber, her heart maintaining a steady, trained rhythm despite the fear coiling in her gut. She had the route. The image of the map was burned into her mind. The specific coordinates of the warehouse in Al-Qaim, the transfer points near Deir ez-Zor, the timing of the convoy protected by Unit 190 of the Quds force. But having the intelligence in her head was useless if she couldn't transmit it. The dead drop in the gallery was compromised. She could feel it. If Farhadi was suspicious, he would be watching her movements outside the villa. She needed a new vector. She sat at her desk and opened the secure laptop. Farhadi was in his office, the door shut. She could hear the muffled baritone of his voice on a call. Layla opened a standard word processing document and began typing a letter to a supplier in Paris regarding a shipment of frames. It was a mundane task, one she performed daily. But within the text, she employed steganography, a technique she had mastered during her training in Tel Aviv. By spacing specific words and using slight, deliberate misspellings that would appear as simple typos to an untrained eye, she encoded the coordinates, the frame for the Zed. Artwork is delayed at the border. She didn't send the email. That would be tracked. Instead, she saved it as a draft in a shared folder used by the gallery's logistics partner, a front company in Dubai that Mossad had compromised years ago. The draft would sync to the cloud. Her handler, monitoring the account, would see the draft, decode the message, and then delete it without it ever being sent. It was a digital brush pass, silent, invisible. "Layla." The general's voice came through the intercom, sharp and distorted. "Yes, General?" "Come in. Bring the red ledger." She stood up, smoothing her skirt. She walked to the safe, her fingers trembling imperceptibly as she dialed the combination he had forced her to memorize. She retrieved the heavy, leather-bound book. When she entered his office, Farhadi was standing by the window, staring out at the snow-capped mountains. He didn't turn around. "Do you know why I like the mountains, Layla?" "Because they are enduring, sir." "Because they are indifferent," he corrected. "They do not care if we live or die. They simply exist. In our line of work, people care too much. They are emotional, and emotion makes them make mistakes." He turned to face her. His eyes were hard, searching. "Security found a signal anomaly near the gallery last night," he said, watching her reaction. Layla kept her face a mask of polite confusion. An anomaly? Like interference? Like a transmission, Farhadi said. Someone was broadcasting, short burst, encrypted. I hope it wasn't my router, Layla said, adding a touch of annoyance to her voice. The internet provider has been terrible lately. I've been meaning to file a complaint. It was a gamble, trivializing the threat. Farhadi studied her. The tension stretched, thin and taut as a wire. Then he exhaled. Perhaps, he muttered. Or perhaps the Israelis are getting bold. He sat down. Sit, Layla. We have to restructure the timeline. The convoy moves tonight, not next week. Layla's blood ran cold. Tonight. The email draft she had just saved indicated the 14th. If Mossad struck on the 14th, they would hit empty sand. If the convoy moved tonight, the Zulfagar guidance kits and the chemical precursors would reach Hezbollah by morning. She had to update the update, and she had to do it while sitting 5 feet away from the most dangerous man in Iran. Lunch was usually a solitary affair for the general, but today he insisted Layla join him. A servant brought in a tray of Zereshk polo, barberry rice with saffron chicken. They sat at the small round table in the corner of his office. Eat, Farhadi commanded. Layla picked at the rice. Her mind was racing. How to signal the change? She had no access to the computer while eating. Her phone was in her bag in the antechamber. You are not hungry? Farhadi asked. I am concerned, General. You mentioned the Israelis. They are always watching. He chewed slowly. They are like wolves. They circle. They wait for a straggler. But this time, we are moving the herd while they sleep. He poured her a glass of dew, a salty yogurt drink. The convoy departs Bandar Abbas at 18 hours, he said casually. It will switch trucks in Avaz. Decoy trucks will continue to Baghdad. The real cargo will go north, through the Kurdish mountains, using the old smuggler routes. No checkpoints. No satellites. He was testing her. He was feeding her details. If she was a spy, this was the gold mine. If she reacted, if she tried to leave, he would know. That sounds very complex, Layla said, taking a sip of the drink. I will ensure your schedule for tomorrow is clear, in case you need to monitor the progress. No need, he smiled, a cold, humorless twisting of lips. I will monitor it from here, and so will you. No one leaves the villa tonight, Layla. We are in lockdown until the cargo crosses the border. Lockdown. The word echoed in her head. She was trapped. And worse, she couldn't send the correction. The Mossad strike team would be targeting the wrong location, at the wrong time. The convoy would slip through. She needed a way out, or a way to signal. I understand, General, but my mother, she is expecting me for dinner. She is unwell. If I do not call her, Farhadi said, gesturing to the secure landline on his desk. Tell her you are working late. Use the speakerphone. Layla felt a cold sweat break on her back. She walked to the phone. She dialed the number she had established for her mother, actually a redirect line to a Mossad safe house in Tehran, capable of voice analysis. Maman, Layla said when the line clicked open. Layla, Jan, where are you? The voice was an older woman's, perfect Farsi, worried tone. It was a pre-recorded AI response system, programmed to react to pauses. I have to stay late, Mama. The general has a lot of work. The inventory is moving faster than expected. She emphasized the word inventory. Oh, my dear, you work too hard. Will you be home for the weekend? No, Mama. Tonight is the night. I have to finish the current project. The old plan is no good. I have to make a new list for tonight. She was pushing it, using code words that were barely veiled. Farhadi was watching her, picking his teeth. Okay, Jan, be safe. Layla hung up. Had the system picked it up? Had the analysts realized that old plan is no good meant abort the previous intelligence? Had they caught tonight? A good daughter, Farhadi said. Now, back to work. The hours ticked by like a torture device. The sun set over Tehran, casting long shadows across the villa's grounds. Layla sat at her desk, organizing receipts she couldn't focus on. In the general's office, a bank of screens had been activated. They showed GPS trackers moving across a digital map. At 21 hours, Farhadi called her in. Watch, he said, pointing to the screen. History in motion. A blue dot was moving steadily toward the Iraqi border. That is the decoy, he laughed. The Israelis are probably scrambling their jets right now to hit a truck full of pistachios. He pointed to a second screen, showing a topographic map of the northern mountains. There was no dot there. The real cargo is dark, radio silence. They are moving through the Z-Pass right now. Layla stared at the screen. She had failed. The cargo was going to make it. Suddenly the phone on Farhadi's desk rang. Not the secure line. The red phone, the direct line to the Supreme Leader's office. Farhadi picked it up. His face went pale. "What?" he whispered. He listened for a long moment. Then he looked at the screens. Impossible, it was dark. There was no signal. He slammed the phone down. He looked at Layla. His expression was one of pure, unadulterated shock. "They hit it," he said, his voice trembling. "They hit the mountain convoy, a drone strike, precision munition. The truck, it is vaporized." Layla felt a surge of relief so powerful it nearly made her knees buckle. The AI system had worked. The message had been relayed. But her relief was short-lived. Farhadi walked slowly around his desk. He pulled a pistol from the drawer, a black Glock. He placed it on the mahogany surface. "The mountain route," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Only 3 people knew about that route. Me, the driver, and you." He looked at her. The grandfatherly demeanor was gone. The mask had fallen. This was the general who had ordered executions in Evan prison. "I told you that route at lunch," he said. "And you made 1 phone call." "General," Layla said, her voice steady, though her heart was hammering. "I called my mother. You listened." "Codes," he spat. "Everything is codes with your kind." He raised the gun. "Who are you?" he screamed. "Who sent you?" Layla didn't answer. She didn't plead. She reacted. Training kicked in. Muscle memory overrode fear. As Farhadi raised the weapon, Layla grabbed the heavy brass lamp on his desk and threw it, not at him, but at the main light switch on the wall. The room plunged into darkness. Farhadi fired blindly. Bang, bang. The muzzle flashes illuminated the room in strobe light horror. Layla dropped to the floor, scrambling toward the heavy oak door. She didn't run for the main exit. The guards would be there in seconds. She ran for the adjoining bathroom. She locked the door behind her and scrambled for the window. It was small, high up, designed for ventilation, but Layla was slim, and adrenaline made her fast. She climbed onto the vanity, smashed the glass with her elbow, and squeezed through. She fell onto the patio roof below, rolling to absorb the impact. Pain shot through her ankle, but she ignored it. Sirens were wailing now. The villa was waking up. "Intruder! Locked down!" She scrambled to the edge of the roof. Below her was the garden, and beyond that, the 3-meter wall. She jumped. She landed in a rose bush, thorns tearing at her clothes and skin. She scrambled up, running toward the blind spot in the cameras she had identified months ago, a section of the wall covered by overgrown ivy. She reached into her shoe and pulled out a small ceramic blade she had hidden there the day she arrived. She used it to cut the wires of the sensor pad hidden in the ivy. "There she is!" A beam of light swept across the garden. A guard on the balcony. Bullets kicked up the dirt around her feet. Layla grabbed the ivy and pulled herself up. She wasn't a soldier, but she was fighting for her life. She crested the wall and dropped to the street below, hitting the asphalt hard. She didn't look back. She ran. She ran through the darkened streets of Elahiye, shedding her heels, running barefoot, disappearing into the labyrinth of Tehran. She was burned. Her face would be on every screen in Iran within the hour. The airports were closed to her. The borders were sealed. Layla activated the emergency beacon on her keychain. It sent a single GPS ping to a satellite. Distress, immediate extraction. The response came 20 minutes later, as she huddled in a dumpster in a back alley, shivering from cold and shock. A beat-up Peugeot pulled up to the curb. The driver was an old man, smoking a cigarette. He didn't look like Mossad. He looked like a taxi driver. "Get in," he said in Farsi. "You look like you had a bad date." Layla dove into the back seat. The car sped off. "Where are we going?" she gasped. "West," the driver said. "The scenic route." The journey took 2 days. They switched cars 3 times. They hid in the back of a melon truck. They slept in a shepherd's hut in the Zagros Mountains. They were heading for the Kurdish border, utilizing the smuggling networks that had once served the general. The irony was not lost on Layla. The final leg was on foot. A blizzard had set in. The mountains were a wall of white and gray. "I can go no further," the driver said, stopping at a mountain pass. "Beyond this ridge is Iraq. The Peshmerga are waiting." Layla looked at him. "Thank you." "Don't thank me," he said. "Thank the history books. Enemies of my enemy, eh?" She began the climb. The cold was brutal. It bit through her thin clothes. Her ankle was swollen and throbbing. Every step was agony. She hallucinated. She saw Farhadi waiting for her in the snow. She saw the gallery. She saw her life in London. Just as she thought she would collapse, she saw silhouettes in the mist, men with rifles. She raised her hands. Yisrael Chai," she whispered, the code phrase she had been given. The men lowered their rifles. One of them stepped forward, wrapping a heavy wool blanket around her shoulders. "Welcome, sister," he said in Kurdish. "You have walked a long way." The debriefing took place in a safe house in Cyprus. Aitan was there. He looked older, tired. "You did it," he said, sliding a file across the table. "The strike was successful. The convoy was destroyed. The general, he has been retired by his own government. They blamed him for the breach." Layla didn't smile. She sat by the window, looking at the Mediterranean Sea. "He trusted me," she said softly. "He was a monster, Layla. He killed hundreds. He was planning to kill thousands more." "I know," she said, "but he was also a man who loved poetry, who missed his wife, who felt lonely at the top. That is why you succeeded," Aitan said gently. "Because you saw the man, not the monster. And that is why it hurts." Layla Vance returned to London, but she didn't return to her life. She couldn't fix pottery anymore. The cracks she saw now were in the world itself, and no amount of glue could repair them. She had lived in the lion's den. She had been the personal assistant to a war criminal. She had served tea to murderers and organized the schedules of terrorists. And in the end, she realized the most devastating truth of all. The line between the civilized world and the chaotic dark is not a wall. It is a person, standing in the breach, telling lies to save the truth. She walked through the British Museum, looking at the artifacts of fallen empires. Persian, Assyrian, Roman, they all fell. She stopped in front of a Cyrus cylinder, the ancient declaration of human rights. She touched the glass. "Order brings clarity," she whispered to herself. She pulled her coat tighter and walked out into the London rain, a ghost in a city of the living, forever carrying the secrets of the general's safe.